let's get the camera out and give it a bit of a wiggle. So yeah, that is it now. Hello everybody, my name's John Dexter, if you don't already know me, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, it would be much appreciated. It's been a long time since I've been through some of my images with you. Obviously I've done the odd one in sort of various YouTube tutorials, but I haven't sort of gone through, I won't say my favourite images, because if I don't like an image I won't keep it anyway, so it's not really fair to say that they're my favourite. But I've actually got a list of 10 here which I'm going to run through with you, if you can bear staying with me that length of time. So yeah, I'm not going to go into depth of what I've done to these in the editing process, because I don't really do a great deal, mainly because I am absolutely useless with Photoshop or Lightroom. As you probably already know, if you've seen some of my videos, I use Nikon's Capture NX2 software, which I absolutely love. So yeah, I'm not going to go into depth with that, but I'm just going to sort of show you the images, what I particularly like about them, where they were shot, and basically what sort of camera movement I used to capture them. So the first one up is this one of some boats moored in Poole Harbour. This was, I only took this a few days ago actually. And I particularly liked the soft, almost sort of minimalistic sort of look that this sort of ended up creating. As you can see, what I particularly liked about it, I like this boat here with the green hull. I thought that sort of was quite prominent in the image. It sort of stood out, and the others are sort of fading away, which it just seemed to work for me. The camera movements I would have used for this would have been a vertical. You know, I always get mixed up between vertical and horizontal. A vertical movement up and down. Not a great deal, just to basically soften the image and sort of take the detail out. I always use a neutral density filter on my lenses. I don't think I have ever taken an image without a neutral density filter on to control the amount of light that comes into the camera. So I adjust the shutter speed via the aperture setting. This is the way I work. You can use either aperture priority, shutter priority, or complete manual. It's just personal taste of, you know, what you like doing and what you feel most comfortable with. Yeah, as I say, this was just a straight up and down shot. Not a lot was done to this in post. I think I just tweaked the sort of colours a little bit, and also did a little bit of adjustment in levels and curves, which has given me this final result, which I'm quite chuffed with. I will just sort of tell you on each image what the camera settings were, if you're at all interested. This was actually taken with a 300mm lens, mainly because the boats were a fair distance away, and it was taken at f/22, and that would have been with a 6-stop neutral density filter on, so it was quite a bright sunny day. It was probably getting to the point where I would have changed the 6-stop for an 8-stop, but yeah, f/22, and it was a third of a second. most of my sort of images are taken at roughly between 1/3 and 1.5 seconds, somewhere around about that sort of area, depending on what sort of look I want. So yeah, that is the first image, which I was quite pleased with. This image was actually taken the same day as I took the previous one, but this is the promenade that runs the length of Poole Harbour, and it's got these lovely old-fashioned type street lights which run the whole length of the promenade. There's not really a lot to say about this image. I wanted to get someone in it, just to add interest, if you like. I used a 70-210 lens for this. The main reason is that whenever I'm taking people, I always get too embarrassed to sort of take their picture getting too close to them. So that's why I use a long lens. But the other reason is that these street lights are set quite far apart, and by using a longer lens you compress the image, which makes them look closer together. It was taken at f16 at half a second with just a small vertical movement up and down. How I got this sort of colours and effect was literally through the levels and curves in editing. Not a great deal, but it just seemed to sort of work for me, and I think that ended up being quite a pleasant image. This image is of some cruise ships moored up in Bournemouth Bay. I think there were 3, maybe 4 moored up. There's also some at Weymouth, which I did pop down and take some images of those as well. But they're there because of the situation we're in at the moment. Now, these scratchy effects on the image, you may like it or you may hate it. You may say it's absolutely ruined it, but I personally think it's different and I quite like it, and I think it makes the image. This was done, I took some pictures of some sun reflecting off the water the other day, and I've actually superimposed that over the image to get this effect. I don't, well, in fact I think this is probably either the first or second time I've ever done it. In fact, I'll come to that later on in the video with another one of my images. But yeah, that's what I did, and I was quite pleased with the outcome. Something different. Obviously, I've tweaked the colours to an extreme amount to get the orange and the dark blues. But it was a setting that just seemed to sort of suit this image. This was taken at 125mm, just under a second long. f16. I tend to avoid having the aperture set at maximum or minimum settings, mainly because at those settings you tend to get sort of lens distortion, but I do tend to avoid those settings, so I tend to try and stay somewhere in the middle. So that is when the neutral density filters come in play to give you full control over your shutter speed and your aperture setting. So yeah, I was really pleased with this image. Yeah, and it's one of those images that I really hope, because of the situation, we never see again. This is a row of beach huts on Mudderford Quay in Christchurch. I absolutely loved the colours that these were painted, and there was this row of 6 that particularly stood out with the lovely red and orange and blues. So I took quite a few shots of this. The camera movement I used for this was just sort of wiggling the camera a little bit, almost if you can't hold it still. And because I took it from a fair distance, I managed to sort of get get it as if the water was sort of lapping up against the front of them. This was taken at 200mm lens, I say, because I was a fair way away, at f16, about 1/3 of a second. I know a lot of people take pictures of beach huts because they're lovely colours, and I've sort of haven't done it in the past, but when I was walking over there, these just sort of jumped out at me. So yeah, I had to take them, and I was quite pleased with it. Just a little note, as far as the camera settings go, ISO, I always set it to base rate, which on my camera is 100. I've never ever found the need to alter that, because it's quite the opposite. We're using neutral density filters to stop the light coming through, so I've never really sort of, unless you're taking an image in the dark, I've never really seen the point in altering the ISO. And obviously, as you know, the lower the ISO goes, the cleaner the image is. So yeah, that's just my opinion, and something worth bearing in mind. So yeah, I actually got 3 images that I was pleased with this composition, and this is one of them. This was taken on a walk by the river that a friend of mine told me existed. I never even knew it existed before she told me, and I came across these lovely 2 trees, but what I absolutely loved about this image, and let me just see if I can zoom in on it, is this bush here. These beautiful sort of, they were sort of a lovely yellow colour in the leaves, and that sort of captured my attention. Absolutely beautiful. In actual fact, I went back there about a week later, and they weren't that colour anymore. They'd sort of turned to a greeny colour. So it just goes to show that when you see something, take it, because you might not be able to repeat it. But I loved the actual reflections in the water of the trees. This would have been taken just with a vertical movement up and down, which you can actually sort of see in the bushes here, which softened the image. Yeah, I thought that I was quite pleased with that at the end of the day. As far as the camera settings, it was taken with a 30mm lens, at f16, a 1/16 of a second. Just of late, I've been sort of moving back to my roots, and I've been shooting in a lot of black and white. There's just something about black and white that I love. So the rest of the images I'm going to show you are indeed in black and white, so you'll probably all turn off now. But yeah, and this one is of Stonehenge, and it was taken on the day that they were closed, and I managed to get to it via a public footpath, which I've actually made a video about the day out at Stonehenge shooting. If you want to have a look at it, I'll put it up at the end of this this video. This was taken with a camera. There was only one camera movement that was ever going to suit this, and that is, if you imagine a clock, you move the camera from say 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, so it's just that sort of small sort of movement, radius movement if you like, and that was only ever going to be the sort of camera movement that suited it. As far as editing goes, all this here was sort of green grass, which really, when turned into black and white, didn't do a lot for the image at all. So in the levels and curves, I pushed the highlight slider right over, which has sort of given it the effect of snow, which I thought really suited the image and made it pop. It was taken with a 30mm lens at f16, a 1/16 of a second. So yeah, I was well pleased with that at the end of the day. Now, this is an image which was a bit experimental for me because I've never done anything like this before. One of the reasons is because my Nikon Capture Annex 2 software, you can't do layers in, which is absolutely fine for me because it doesn't really bother me. But I actually bought Photoshop Elements to use a plugin for my printing software. And in there you can actually do, as I'm sure you know, layers. So I thought I'd give it a go, and the main image is these moored boats in Christchurch Harbour, and I actually superimposed this other image of this seagull over it, and I was really quite chuffed with how it came out. It almost looks as if the boats are sort of shrouded in the clouds, if you like. And yeah, I was quite pleased with it. I know Chris Friel does quite a lot of this sort of imagery, which is, if it's good enough for Chris Friel, it's good enough for me. He is just one amazing photographer, which is my idol. I absolutely love his work. So yeah, I was quite pleased with the end result. Is it something I'll do quite a lot of? No, I don't think so. But you know, just as an experiment and a bit of fun, I was quite pleased with it. I can't actually give you the camera settings on this because obviously it's 2 images. Now, this image I actually set off to the countryside that day with in mind to get a picture of some cows in a field, and I'd sort of been out all day and seen nothing basically, and all of a sudden I came across this field of cows, and there was this one which had separated from the herd, and she had a little calf with her, and there was this lovely tree in the background which set the whole image off. I took quite a few shots of this and I was really pleased with the outcome. It was better than I had sort of got in my head to take at the time. So yeah, I was really pleased. As far as the camera movements go, it was literally just a little shake of the camera just to soften the image. And I think it was lovely that the fact it was on a hill as well. I think that just sort of just improved the image greatly. So yeah, I was absolutely chuffed to bits with that final image. As far as camera settings go, it was taken with a 125mm lens, f14 at half a second. Not a lot was done to this in post. Obviously I turned it into black and white, but apart from that there was just a slight adjustment on the levels and curves, and that was pretty much it. This is a steam train at Swanage Railway. Again, I made a video about the taking of this image, my trip out to Swanage. Again, I will put that up also at the end of this video if you want to take a look at it. This sort of image is more luck than skill to get a good final image, because you have literally got seconds to get the shot, because obviously the train is passing you by, as it were. I was really sort of chuffed with this at the end. You don't have to move the camera a lot with this sort of image, because the train movement itself makes for the sort of blur, if you like. But there was a little camera shake just to soften the background. So yeah, I think I was very lucky to get this shot. It could have so easily gone the other way and been nothing but rubbish, because I think I literally only had time to get 3 shots before the train disappeared under the bridge. I like the fact that I got the signal and also this a sort of little whistle sign in. I thought that sort of set the image off. Again, post-processing turned into black and white. Apart from that, there wasn't really a lot I did to it. This was taken with a 95mm lens at f4 15th of a second. This is an image of a horse that is in the field just behind where I live. I didn't do a lot as far as camera movement goes with this. I just let the fact that the horse was eating the grass and moving his head to sort of give this a blur effect. In post, I just sort of played with the levels and curves, and I think it sort of looks a bit like a pencil drawing almost. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. I put this sort of board around it, which I thought just sort of set it off. It almost looks like an old-fashioned photograph to me. But I don't take a lot of images of animals, but this is one that I think just worked somehow. The camera settings, it was a 165mm lens, f16 at half a second. So that is it. That is my 10 images. If you've stuck with me, I thank you very much. I hope you've liked browsing through these images with me. If you have, please leave a like or a comment below. Any questions you ever want to ask me about my technique or my images, please feel free to send me a message. I will always answer them and help you out any way I can. As I said at the beginning, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and to those who have, I thank you very much. It's a great help, encourages me a lot to continue to make these videos, and hit that bell to see any future videos I put up. All the links to my website and Instagram are below. So yeah, I think that is just about it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Until the next time or the next trip out, this is John Dexter saying bye for now.